In this particular video, we are going to look into class variables, class methods, and static methods. So the class variables are declared after the class. So here I declared class my class and then specify the class variable. This is another class variable which is a list and it has 3 departments under it. In the initialization method, I declare the instance variables. Now the instance variables get initialized over here. I say the object name dot variable name, instance variable name is equal to what gets passed in the argument list. Now here, if you see, the study method can access both instance variables and the class variables. So here it calls initializer method and then it displays all the details. Hi John, your roll number is 21, college is this ABC college, and the department and college are these. If I call the Dunderdick method on the class, it, as you can see, it displays the class variables separately. Class variables can be directly accessed using the class name. Like here, my class dot college name will make sense, but then my class dot roll number will give an error. So the class variables, so the another difference between class variables and instance variable is an instance variable cannot be accessed using the class name. So here, if I specify an instance variable, it cannot be accessed using the class name. But using the object name, I can access both instance variable and the class variable. See, I have called for the class variable using the instance. On the Dunderdick method, it shows me only the instance variable. I can also modify the class variable using an object. But if I modify it, then it becomes then it becomes an instance variable of the class, and the class variable value still remains the same. Now this is because the class variable has to be changed by something that is common and the class name is common, whereas the object, if we see the object, it is a particular instance of a class. It cannot be allowed to modify the class variable, but only the class can be allowed to modify the class variable. So by that logic, if I try to modify the class variable, then it gets added to the list of instance variables. Only the class can change the class variable. So here, if I call obj.college name, it shows me the instance variable. Here I am trying to delete the attribute college name associated with the object, and then if I try to display, now it is back to using the college name itself, because I ran it, so it is giving me an error that no such variable exists. So we saw certain differences between class variables and the instance variables. One difference is where they are initialized. The second difference is class variable can be accessed by both, whereas the instance variable can be accessed using an object only. And the third variable, if an object tries to modify the class variable, then it just gets added to its list of instance variables. So by default, all methods are instance methods. We can also have class method. I declare the class method with the help of the class method decorator. So this is the class method decorator using which I access. And here, as you can see, I can specify welcome.greetoff, that is the class name dot the method name. And here in self, there is no object which is getting passed, but rather the class itself. I can also call for the class method using the instance variable like this. So basically, a class method can be called by both object and the class. So this is a class method which has the class method decorator, and this is a normal instance method. So let us see. Here, if I try to print the argument, then it shows the both are being called using the object. But here, if I try to call this, then it shows me the class name. Here, if I try to check on the argument, here the instance is getting passed. So here, depending upon what is the requirement, that gets passed. This is one interesting observation. If I try to okay, considering another example, here I have a class. I declare two class variables and initializer study function. Class method is there. So now here the class method can be called using the object. When I call the help on such a class, then it shows me the data and the other attributes that are there. It also shows class methods which are defined here, which is greet. Now let us look at what can the class method access. Can the class method access instance variables? No, it cannot access instance variables, because what gets passed to it is nothing but the class, and the class cannot access instance variables. So by that logic, the class here I can only refer to class variables, and it cannot refer to instance variables. Class methods are used to access class variables only. Class variables are accessible to both instance and class method. Okay, so this is one another example where I have class method. Here I am first printing the self.department. It prints the department names, and then after that I am trying to modify the class variable. I am modifying the class variable in the class method only. If I try to modify it in the instance method, then an instance will get created. Let me demonstrate that also. See here, when I say self.department, now here self.department will create another instance. See now, let me print this So here first study method is being called and then greet method is called. So as you can see, I'm modifying the department here to ABCDEF. So rightly an instance is getting added over here for this OBJ. So here it should still show me commerce, arts, science only. So initially it calls this, hi John, your roll number is 21, department and college are. So it's still accessing class variables. Here an instance variable is getting created. The class variables are left unmodified. Here as you can see, it is calling self.department. So now it is still commerce, arts and science. If I say OBJ, here let me call print OBJ dot department, and as you can see here OBJ dot department is showing me ABCDEF, but here if I give print OBJ dot no, my class dot department, then it is showing me department 1, department 2, which was modified here, and so now these are the new modified values. So there are certain differences between instance method and the class method. Instance method can modify an instance variable. If it tries to modify a class variable, then a new instance variable gets created. Class method is declared with the class method decorator, and it can modify only class variables, and it cannot access instance variables. We will look at static method in the next class, in the next video.